welcome back to this episode of CJ Discusses. Today we're going to discuss Survivor Season 47, Episode 8. And things are starting to get a little spicy on there. This is coming out of last week, going into this week, and definitely going into next week. For this week, we start with the fallout from last week's Tribal Council, where the Tuku tribe was going to vote out, the former Tuku tribe was going to vote out Rachel, who was the lone wolf. Everybody else that had made it to, that was going to tribal, was part of the former Tuku tribe. She was the odd person out, but Saul was able to get an advantage, and he was able to save her, so they had to go ahead and turn on each other and pick somebody to send home. So now, there's some fallout from that. Some battle lines have been drawn between the Tuku and the Gada tribe, and Lavu's kind of floundering in the middle. Saul does tell Rachel that he was the one that gave her the advantage, trying to curry some favor with her and build his own alliance. He's been playing from the bottom pretty much since the get-go, with Rome kind of pinning him down. Now that Rome is gone and he's able to go ahead and start actually playing his own game, he's actually trying to, curry some favor with some people, build his alliance, and start digging his way out of the hole that he's in. They wake up the next morning and Caroline comes into camp and tells everybody that she's found something and she wants to show them. She takes them into the jungle and we see a table set up with a bunch of plates. They read the note that's attached to it and find out that they're going to be doing the Survivor auction, but they need to go into the jungle and find tubes of bamboo that will have their money in it. They can get as many tubes as they can find. They just have to bring it back to the table, one tube at a time. So they go ahead and immediately run off into the jungle. Everybody is able to find a tube except for Andy. And production shows him just wandering through the jungle, going past tube after tube that he just doesn't see. He's so fixated and frantic about trying to get this tube of money that he's not seeing the forest through the trees at that point. So he is the only person that cannot participate in the auction, which is a double-edged sword, because whoever has the most money at the end of the auction will automatically lose their vote. So since he doesn't have any money, he can't lose, so he is safe and will retain his vote for the next tribal council. Jeff says that there is a max of 15 items up for bid, but he's going to go ahead and draw a number out of the bag, and that will be how many items that he is going to bring out, but only he will know that number, so it could end at any time. So he goes ahead, pulls the number, and we commence. Everybody is pretty much happy with the way the auction turns out. Gabe kind of gets screwed. He only gets a coconut full of water. But, for the most part, everybody has gotten something that they want to eat and are pretty much happy. The loser in this, though, is Sam. He is the one that's left with the most amount of money at the end, with $160 that he wasn't able to get rid of, and he has lost his vote for the next tribal council. In all of this, though, Rachel finds a note in her french fries. When she does it, pocket it, and she's able to go ahead and read it when she gets back to camp. And the note says that there is an immunity idol that is hidden in one of the tarps at the camp. So she's now trying to figure out, one, where this is, and two, how she's going to go ahead and get this idol. She decides that the best course of action is just go ahead and take it with everybody sitting there. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure how they didn't see her just screwing around with this tarp, using a machete on it, and hear all the rustling and know that something weird was going on. But they don't, so she's able to go ahead and find the idol and pocket it. We then go to the immunity challenge, and we see another Survivor Classic. It's where they have a bucket suspended from, a bar, and they have to hold on to it, and the bucket has a quarter of their pregame weight in it. So it's really an endurance challenge, and obviously a grip strength challenge. We have 3 people that go out right away within the first minute, and that is Sam, Genevieve, and Teeny. So, Sam, even though he lost his vote, now has no chance at immunity. Jeff did spring on us that there's a surprise, and the man that wins as well as the woman that wins will both get immunity from that night's tribal council. So there's a lot at stake with winning this. We have 3 more people that go out pretty quickly. You have Gabe, Sierra, Caroline that go out, so that just pretty much leaves Sue and Rachel for the women to go ahead and fight it out, and for the men we have Saul, Andy, and Kyle. At the end of the day, Sue ends up winning it. win an immunity for the women, and Kyle gets his third immunity in a row and is safe at Tribal Council for that evening. As we're back at Tribal, it's just frenzied, series of talks that happen, and really, like I said, there's a line that's been drawn. You got Taku on one side, Gato on the other, and in the middle is Lavu, and they're being pulled. Both Saul and Genevieve want to go with the Taku tribe, while Teeny wants to stay with Gata. And really, Saul and Genevieve kind of gang up on Teeny and tell her that they think it's better to go with the Taku tribe. At the end of the day, you really have no idea where any of this is going, but it sounds like Andy's going to flip on his tribe, Gata, and possibly go with Taku, which really just gives all the momentum to Taku at this point. I don't really see the soundness in this logic, though, because you're still going to be the low man on their totem pole, and they're going to vote you out next, whether you're Lavu or Andy at this point. So you really just need to start playing your own game and stop thinking along the lines of tribes. But they're still in that former tribe mindset, and this is probably going to end up biting some people in the butt. We do go to Tribal Council that night, and it's really just a lot of rhetoric going back and forth. Nobody's really giving away anything, but they are talking about blindsides. Andy's talking about, how he's been blindsided at the past couple of tribals, kind of, foreshadowing a little bit that he's probably going to screw somebody over. As we go into the votes, though, you don't really know where it's going to go, but you have a pretty good feeling that it's going to be either Sam or Sierra that's going to go home that night. What we do see is Rachel going into her bag to go ahead and pull out something, whether it is her shot in the dark or it's the immunity guide. I don't know, but I would probably have that in my pocket already instead of trying to make, a big show of not going into it. Caroline does see her go into it, so she knows that something's up, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Jeff goes to grab all the votes, brings it out, and at that point, Rachel goes ahead and says that she, has something to say. And she, I'm thinking she's going to play her immunity idol at this point, but no. For whatever reason, she has played her shot in the dark. And I don't know if that's to get people off the scent that she may have an immunity idol, or the fact that she was almost voted home last night and feels like she's in trouble. But even then, I would still play the immunity idol. I wouldn't play the shot in the dark. But that's what she does, and Jeff reveals that she's not safe. So now we go and tally the votes. So the early votes go to both Sam and Gabe, and then Sierra starts gaining some momentum. And it actually becomes a tie between Sam and Sierra, so now we have to go to a tiebreaker vote. Now normally the two players that are involved in the tie cannot vote in the revote. But this one's different, Jeff explains, because Sam doesn't have a vote, so Sierra can vote since their votes won't cancel each other out. So it's kind of weird, but that's the way he explains it, and that's the way it goes. So everybody goes back and does their revote, and it's actually kind of a surprise because Sierra does get all of the votes except for her vote against Sam at that point. So Sierra is voted off and will be the first member of the jury. It'll be interesting to see how things shape up back at camp. In the previews for next week, you see Sam is just on a warpath at that point, so he says he's going to cause chaos. So I'll be very interested to see how that works out for him, and if he's able to go ahead and swing the tide. But right now it's not looking good for the Gata tribe, and they need to do something in order to reverse the situation that they found themselves in.